Hey guys, this is going to be another Starcraft 2 commentary video. This is GomJabbar, and this is going to be a Protoss, me, against Terran LOLCraft on Blistering Sands. Now I usually have this map downvoted, and here's the reason. These stupid things. Maps with backdoors just kind of piss me off. You know, maybe I should be practicing on it, but whatever. I don't really play to, like, compete. I play to have fun, so that's what you get. Now, this is a really close game, but I'm going to be focusing on pretty much why I think I managed to win, and it has to do with double expanding, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. But we do have Prober coming down through the center of the map, scouting after pylon. Pretty much always do that every matchup. You know, against Terran, it lets you harass the barracks that he'll be building. His barracks is actually well, just coming down now. But yeah, I'll get to harass his SCV just a bit. Against Zerg, I can, you know, tell if he's going hatch or pool first, and I can block the hatchery. So that's really, really useful. Just trying to keep my probe alive here. You know what? I'm actually going to put this on my own view, so you can only see what I had vision of. Yeah, and Protoss versus Protoss, you want to scout after the pylons because you don't have to, but it lets you spot if he's doing a proxy or, you know, a 10 gate or something. So I think it's pretty important in every matchup. Get my gateway, get my gas. All pretty standard. Chrono boosting probes. I definitely focus on chrono boosting probes in the early game. Once I'm on about 2 bases, I switch over to chrono boosting the warp gates and upgrades, robo facility, everything else. So, I see the Terran is getting Marines, and this probe is going to die, I'm sure. He's getting his orbital. Not sure when I checked I should have gone back to check his gas, but yeah. Did not actually do that. And I'm going to go ahead and just send my Zealot up to the front. Don't want to wall off against Terran necessarily. I guess you can, but he has ranged units, so it really doesn't do anything at all. Now I do see his Marine coming up the front. I spotted that leaving his base, so I'm going to try and kill it. Here we go. Pretty tough for a Zealot to kill Marine, just because the Marine can micro. And what? Another Marine? What is this? Oh, what the hell? Okay, so that's right. He actually snuck a barracks and a supply depot into my base. And I only did scout that one barracks, and I thought he was just going to do a fast expand, perhaps, or I don't know. Maybe I should have thought a little harder about why I didn't see a second barracks. But I am going to use the Stalker, and you know, it's important when you're seeing something like this not to get too stressed out. Don't just go try and kill it with one Stalker. It's a barracks full of Marines. I'm not going to kill it with one Stalker. But with a couple of Stalkers, I can definitely try. And, you know, Stalkers are actually the right choice here because they do outrange Marines. They do good damage against armored, so they're going to do pretty good against the bunker, 14 versus armored. And you know, the ranged units, I don't have to try and rush in with the Zealots and take a lot of hits. Throwing down more gateways. Trying not to panic here. Just trying to survive. And, you know, do as much damage as I can. Pulling back to let the shields recharge on these Zealots. And because there's a Marine up here, definitely want to take care of that. Now I spot a Marine moving up here. Gonna go ahead and cut him off. Getting just more Stalkers. Now, I say a lot in PvT that I don't like Stalker play, and this is true. But if I see nothing but Marines and bunkers, yeah, I'm going to need Stalkers because you need to kite the Marines with the Stalkers. Stalkers are good against Marines. You know, Stalker Colossus, that's a good unit composition if he's going mass Marine. But if he's doing mass Marauder, that's not what I want. So, in this early game stage, when he's just doing Marines, this little bunker nonsense, then yeah, I'm definitely going to want Stalkers. And now I made the decision to target this bunker because I had enough Stalkers. And he can't repair it in time. I'm just going to target it, and now I'm going to pull back and micro against these Marines and take as few losses as I possibly can. And I definitely want to target this SCV. Nope, not yet. I'm going to move in. I'm letting my shields recharge, get more reinforcements here. My money's slipping a little bit. I'm a little high on the money. But that's okay. So, just microing a bit. Not the best. And I really don't want this bunker to get up, so I'm going to try and target that SCV. Thankfully, it moves into range on its own. And now I'm pretty much safe. I've got plenty of Stalkers to deal with this. I can just micro. More Stalkers coming in, and I'm fine. But I do have 700 minerals now, and I really want to expand, like, immediately. My build against Terran normally would be 2-gate robo expand, but in this case I had to 4-gate to prevent, or to defend against his Marine bunker rush and proxy barracks. But, you know, at this point he's got a barracks that he's floating around and not doing anything with. I killed a bunker, and as you can see from the resource counting station, I'm a little ahead in food. Of course I didn't know this at the time, but I felt reasonably safe to expand here. I figured he probably had an expansion of his own. I'm going to go try and poke at him, see what's going on. And meanwhile, I'm getting my Twilight Council, going for a pretty fast charge upgrade. And I intend to switch entirely over to Zealots at this point. I think I should have gotten a Robo Bay as well, but I didn't really expect any Banty play, so I didn't really want to worry about the Observer. Only 2 bunkers here, but I did take a lot of damage. I think I probably could have broken this, but I might have suffered a lot of losses. So I'm not sure if that was the right decision to pull back there. But I am indeed going to pull back, and because... Okay, here's the key thing to this game. Because I saw that he had bunkers here, and I knew he was in the process of expanding. So I thought, okay, great. I just expanded myself. I'm going to go ahead and expand again. And, you know, you might say, well, doesn't that put you even farther behind? Well, here's how I look at it. If we're both taking an expansion at around the same time, I scout him. I want to, what I see is a player expanding and being defensive until his expansion is up and running and he has the additional production from that expansion. He's going to have extra economy, but it's going to take a little while for that to kick in. And until it does, you play defensively. That's just the mindset of a player after they expand. You're down 400 minerals, you want to play defensively. So what I am figuring in this situation is, alright, we're both going to be down 400 minerals. I'll just be down 800 minerals. And then by the time it takes his expansion to get up and running and producing more, by the time he decides to start attacking, I'll probably be at least even with him in army count. And then, you know, as long as I survive, I'll be up a base, and I'll win in the long term. This is my thought process, and this works out very well for me. It might surprise some of you, but I do this kind of thing a lot, where I'm expanding, and I spot the Terran expanding at exactly the same time, but he has bunkers, maybe siege tanks, he's really defensive. This is exactly the point where I go, okay, I'm going to expand right now, again. And that double expansion, it doesn't even have to be hidden. I mean, this is the next natural expansion. This isn't hidden at all. But it's, you know, the Terran player is being defensive right now. And I'm just taking advantage of that to be economically aggressive at the same time that he's being defensive. So, right now, just macroing, getting an army up. These Zealots do have charge now. I should be positioning them in the front, I think, but, you know, now that the mid-game's over, I'm going to stop making these Stalkers. And I'm going to focus on Zealots, Sentries, and hopefully I'm going to get Immortals out soon. Actually, there's my Robo Bay. I should be making Immortals out of that. I have the money to. So a little mistake there. There goes the Immortal. And that's meant to directly counter Marauder play. Zealots and Sentries. Really good against Marauder. What the? Oh, jeez. Okay, yeah. This is exactly why I hate this map, as I said. I'm going to go ahead and try and clean this up. And of course he's just going to make a mad dash for my probe line. But yeah, I really hate that backdoor, man. Of course it's my own mistake not to put a spotting pylon there. But yeah, that's why I hate it. And, you know, I'm not really controlling my army very well here. I could have positioned my army to block off some of his units, like what these zealots are doing here. And now finally trapping his marauders. Luckily they were on move command, but it doesn't matter. I did take out those zealots. I'm going to take out these marines as well. Now that was 2 zealots taking out at least 4 marines. So, you know, that's pretty awesome. Getting a little high on my money, but I do have a gold base that's starting to be saturated, and that really boosts your economy. So I just killed his army. I'm up a base, and I'm fairly sure he hasn't expanded yet. So I'm going to go ahead and try and poke in, or at least contain. Yep, just rallying all my Nexi down here. And my intention here was to just go up and check if he had an extra base. And I was pretty confident he didn't at this point. You know, I would have seen some stuff. And now, here he is. And I'm going to rely on my force fields and charge zealots, which are getting caught in the back. The big problem I have in this entire game is my unit control really hurts me. And I end up taking a lot more losses than I need to. So I am doing a ton of damage though with these charged zealots. Here comes an Immortal that's not going to do anything. Pulling the rest of my, or not controlling the rest of my army up here, so I want to, you know, pull these zealots back. But zealots that are retreating, really not that good. And here I only catch a couple of marauders. I wanted to catch more than that, so miss force field there. Again, just big army control problems I'm having. And of course, LOLCraft is excellent marauder micro. So, you know, with excellent marauder micro, you do lessen the damage of those charge lots, but, you know, once you hit a critical mass, it's pretty tough to do anything. And that is exactly what I'm doing, just making Immortals, Zealots, and Sentries. And, if he had more Marines, I would be thinking of going for Templar, but I'm still not sure if going for High Templar in this situation would be ideal, just because he has only Marauders right now. And they're armored. Psystorm doesn't do that much damage. Okay, it's 80 damage. That's a lot. You know, I'm just not sure. I think it might have been better to switch over to High Templar instead of all these sentries. But it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and move in anyway. Try and get as much as I can. But I notice here, these are actually terrible force fields. And here's why. These Marauders are actually in a little choke point right there. And they were able to do extra damage against my Zealots because I'm only able to hit the row in front. So I actually made a tight choke point for the Marauders, and that was good for them and bad for me. This is what you really want to do. Just trap them right in the front, and you have a big surface area, big wide surface area for your Zealots to attack them. And I don't know why I pulled back here. That was dumb. But this Zealot's going to take care of that one, and the Immortal's going to get the other one. Now I see he's trying to expand down to the bottom right, which is an odd location. It's close to me. I didn't get the command center, which is not so ideal. And trying to force field, trying to attack. I do force him to pull back. I think he could have taken out my entire army, but it might have cost him. Another thing with these Zealots is that they do prevent some Marauder micro. You know, you can use them to sort of wall off. Losing an Immortal there, definitely don't want that to happen. And I'm going to charge in again. Look at that great Marauder micro. More force fields, not quite enough, but I do get some of those Marauders. And he's going to pick off this Immortal. Excellent job. The longer those Immortals stay alive, the more they're doing 50 damage per shot against Marauders, which get two-shotted. So that's a huge deal. I'm sorry, they get three-shotted by Immortals. But anyway, Stalker going off on his own. That's fine. Army is a bit split up here. Again, big unit control problems. But you can see I'm already way ahead in the food count, pretty much just because I double expanded and I survived. Zealots on move command, not that good. Of course, I just warped them in and right-clicked to my army, so that's what happens. Should have been controlling that better, obviously. I have a massive oversaturation here, and I do want this expansion, and I went to take it, but I spotted his command center muling like crazy. So, you know, this is a low on health command center. I could pretty much just kill it. Oh, he has a Marauder on the high ground also. Very stupid. So I'm going to move down and try and kill this command center. And I also thought, well, when I'm taking this base, I'm going to make cannons here anyway, so I'll just cannon his base and kill it that way. That didn't quite end up happening. So moving down to kill off this base. Again, I figure it was pretty close. I thought at the time he had at least another base up. And that's actually not the case. This Marauder getting a little out of position, but here comes the rest of the Marauders and SCVs. Looks like a huge all-in. Here he comes moving into my main. This is actually a gigantic attack, but I have a pretty big force myself, mostly consisting of sentries. See, this is too many sentries. As good as force field is, I think at this point I certainly should have had High Templar. But in any case, here come the Zealots doing a ton of damage. Look at SCVs mass poking these pylons. And I'm already getting focused down. Looks like I'm in a terrible spot, but I'm going to warp in a billion Zealots down here. And he comes in, focusing down my army, but I do have 3 Immortals doing a ton of damage. And Zealots just fighting the SCVs. Here come more Zealots. I actually have a ton of minerals, and I can make a billion zillion Zealots. And wow, I'm actually going to hold this off. Immortals doing 6 damage. And Zealots just cleaning up. So, held that attack off. He does have one SCV still alive, and I believe he might lose his probe. Am I? Well, yeah, I'm going to lose a probe. And down here, warping in more Zealots, and I'm going to expand. You might get another one. This is ridiculous. When am I going to notice this SCV? Here comes another dead probe. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and attack with this pretty small force of Zealots, but he doesn't have that many Marauders either. Now Stim does let him outrun those charged Zealots just a little bit, and now he's getting in a nice choke point. Difficult for my Zealots to attack, and he's reinforcing pretty quickly, which I'm not doing at all to this army. So I'm probably going to lose this, but already doing so much damage. Just look at that. I took out about half of his Marauder forces already. And excellent micro, but again, those Zealots have huge DPS. Here come the reinforcements just charging in, and I mean, look how close this battle is. It's ridiculous. And here comes the Immortal to do tons of damage. Charge Zealots against Marauders, pretty good. Again, very nice micro, and I'm not reinforcing very well against this. Getting mined out of my gold, not getting guys on gas, but I don't really need that much gas at the moment. Here comes another base. Going to transfer some guys from my gold, of course. Still actually mining from this, although these guys were idle. They did kill that SCV. I'm still even mining up here. It's pretty nuts. How many harvesters? I've got 74 harvesters. Most of them are at this gold base. So not the best probe distribution there. And here comes his attack. I'm going to try and hold it off. Nice force fields. Well, now I'm blocking off my own stuff. But he sees my third base and he GG's. And we'll go ahead and go to the everyone cam. Mined out. Mined out. No third base. So, let's go ahead and back up to that double expand one more time. Might take a little while. So I'm going to talk about this overlay. Isn't that awesome? I didn't make that. Pretty sure I saw that on Reddit or Team Liquid or something, but it's pretty sweet. Yeah, we saw this already. This might take a little while. Sorry, guys. And here's this barracks nonsense. Again, letting my guys recharge and shield. Important. Stalkers against Marines. Pretty good. Do that. And I've got 4 warp gates up. I can't quite make as many stalkers as I would like just because I don't have that much gas. And more stalkers. Alright. And now I'm going to expand immediately. Now, I'm going to go ahead and poke the front. I see he has bunkers. He's bunkered in. His expansion pretty much just went down. And I'm going to move and take out the gold rocks and expand immediately. Boom. Expansion. And now let's just look at his army right now. That's his whole army. Like, that's, look at my army. It's not a lot at all. And he is moving out right now. But, you know, he only has 4 barracks. Alright, he's making 5th. Not a lot of barracks, you know. And he's going to bust down these rocks. Should have made a spotter there. But, you know, just want you to note again, all you have to do when you do this double expand kind of thing, you see that your opponent is expanding at the same time you are, and you throw down another expansion at the same time. So you pretty much have 2 simultaneous expansions being made. And all you have to do is defend. And you just get farther and farther ahead. I mean, some of you might ask, you know, what if he decided to expand, like right now? Well, his army would be a lot smaller than this, and look at my army. That's huge. Look at all the zealots. If they hadn't gotten stuck in the back like that, and it micro a little bit better, this would have just been not even close. And I'm still doing pretty well against it. Like, look at that. That's great, huh? And that's with an extra 400 minerals that I sunk in that's only now recouping its cost. It does help that it's a gold base, which will recoup its own cost a lot faster. But you can do this on any kind of base. I do this on Metalopolis all the time. You should try that as well. And here comes my terrible force field. So, you know, this is the point that the Terran is expanding. And I already have 3 fully saturated bases. Well, I don't know about this one, but 2 fully saturated bases, 1 oversaturated base, 1 undersaturated, and an observer that's just sitting in my own main. Yeah, that's not good. But the point is, if you see your opponent in a very defensive stance, take another base. Just do it, and you know, try and survive. If you're Terran, just bunker like crazy and just really try and survive. If you are Protoss, you need to get those units like Sentries and High Templar where they can, or even Colossi, where they can do a ton of damage and be really cost effective. And with good micro, they benefit a lot. So you want those kinds of units, and of course, you know, Zealots that do a ton of damage. Just insane amount of damage against Marauders and other things. And of course, if you're Zerg, you probably already do this because Zerg always wants to be a base ahead anyway. But, well, I'm not entirely qualified to comment on Zerg. It's probably my worst race. But, you know, I'm sure you can think of something. The goal is you get a base up as fast as you possibly can while your opponent isn't likely to attack it, and then you just defend like crazy. And, you know, you're going to do pretty well. So, that was my video for today, and I hope you enjoyed.